Tunde Adewale did not wake up on the morning his life collapsed. He didn't even sleep. He had spent the entire night sitting on the edge of his bed, staring at the cracked ceiling of his tiny one-room apartment in Mushin, listening to the stubborn drip, drip, drip of the leaking tap that no plumber ever seemed able to fix. His chest felt tight. His throat felt swollen. His hands trembled in a way he pretended not to notice. Every breath he took felt borrowed. The room smelled of old clothes, damp air, and the last bowl of gari he had eaten the night before, the only food left in the house. His eyes were red and raw. He wasn't crying. He had gone past crying years ago. Now it was just numbness. He rubbed a hand over his face and whispered, "How I take reach here?" The question had no energy, no anger, just a quiet confusion like a man waking up from a long dream he didn't remember falling into. The truth was simple. Tunde had failed at everything for years. Before we begin, this story might just change how you see struggle forever. Listen closely, because this might be the story your heart needs today. If you've ever felt like life keeps beating you down, this story is for you. He failed at jobs, fired from 4 companies in 2 years. He failed at relationships. The last woman he truly loved walked away after begging him to just try, and he couldn't. He failed at hope. Every time he tried to rise, life knocked him down harder. He failed at himself. He had reached a point where he couldn't recognize the man in the mirror. Now, at 37, the only thing that had not failed was the weight on his chest. That one had remained loyal. He stood slowly and walked toward the small window. The morning sun was trying its best to shine through the dirty glass, forming a faint golden rectangle on the floor. Even the sun looked tired inside his room. He sighed. Today was different. Today was the day the landlord told him he must leave. No more stories, no more promises, no more begging. Today he would be homeless in Lagos. He picked up his worn-out shoes, the same shoes he had used for almost 7 years, and slipped them on mechanically. He didn't have anywhere to go, but sitting in the room felt like drowning. He stepped outside and locked the door for the last time. He didn't look back, because looking back would break him. The street was already busy. People rushing, shouting, selling, moving. Lagos didn't care if your life was falling apart. The city moved with or without you. Tunde walked aimlessly, hands in his pockets, watching Okadas zip past like impatient bees. He passed shop after shop, hairdressers, buka joints, mechanic workshops, all filled with people who had something to do, somewhere to be. He envied them. He envied the hawker shouting, "Pure water, cold pure water." He envied the woman frying puff-puff, laughing loudly with her customers. He envied the bus conductor hanging from the door of a danfo yelling, "Oshodi, Oshodi, enter with your change, oh." Everyone seemed to have a purpose, except him. His feet carried him through the market until he ended up at the old footbridge that overlooked the road. He leaned on the rusted railing and watched the cars below. He didn't remember the last time he felt light or happy or even normal. He whispered, "I dey try, but life no gree." He watched a boy, probably 12, helping his mother push a heavy wheelbarrow across the street. The boy smiled as he worked. Tunde felt something crack inside him. Why was everything so hard for him and so easy for others? He began walking again, crossing into a quieter part of town. His legs felt heavier, his mind drowning in thoughts he couldn't fight anymore. When he passed a small kiosk, an old man sitting in front of it called out to him. "Young man," the old man said, his voice rough but steady, "you dey walk like person wey carry all the problems for this world." Tunde forced a small smile. "No worry, sir. I dey okay." The old man stared at him knowingly. "Hope no dey finish," he said. "But people dey forget say na small light dey lead person out of darkness." Tunde nodded politely and walked away. But the old man's words lingered. Small light. he sighed and kept walking. He didn't know that the smallest light of all was waiting for him in a place he least expected. But before that moment arrived, Tunde needed to reach his breaking point. By evening, fatigue had chewed through every part of his body. He had walked for hours without purpose, without direction, without destination. The Lagos sun had beaten him, drained him, roasted him, and left him dry. When his legs couldn't carry him anymore, he dragged himself into a small roadside restaurant. The sign outside read, Ifelma's Kitchen, where food feels like home. Home. He almost laughed. He sat at a plastic table, hands trembling slightly. A young waitress approached. Oga, where do you go chop? Tunde stared at the table. I no really get money, he whispered. The girl smiled kindly. No wahala, you fit chop later pay later. He lifted his eyes slowly, surprised. You sure? She nodded. Everybody they face something, no worry. He blinked rapidly as she walked away. Kindness always hit him the hardest. It reminded him of everything he once had and lost. When the food arrived, a simple plate of rice and stew, Tunde ate slowly, grateful for every bite. Halfway through the meal, his emotions broke like a dam. He lowered his spoon and he cried. Quietly, deeply. The kind of cry that didn't come from the eyes but from the bones. A cry years overdue. Nobody disturbed him. People mind their business in Lagos. When he finished crying, he whispered to himself, I no sabi how to start again. He didn't know that his answer was already on the way. Tunde stepped out of the restaurant into the cool night air, wiping his face with the back of his sleeve. The world around him felt blurry, not because of the tears, but because he had cried from a place he didn't even know still existed. He wasn't sure what hurt more, the hunger, the failures, or the feeling that his life was slowly disappearing in front of him. He walked aimlessly through the dimly lit street, his slippers dragging against the sandy ground. A few shops were closing. Okada riders were arguing over last-minute fares. Dogs barked in the distance. Lagos was alive. Tunde felt dead. As he walked deeper into the night, the street grew quieter. Houses gave way to small abandoned stalls and empty spaces where people normally gathered during the day. He found a wooden bench in front of a locked barber shop. He sat. He exhaled. He buried his face in both hands. God, I tire. I know they ask for plenty. I just want breathe without fear. There was no answer, only the low hum of a generator somewhere far away. Moments passed. Then something strange happened. A gentle breeze brushed against his face, cool, soft, unexpected. It made him look up. A dirty plastic bag floated across the road, circling like something being guided by an unseen hand. It danced briefly in the air, then settled at his feet. Tunde frowned. He bent and picked up the bag. Inside was a small folded paper, probably blown in from somewhere. He opened it lazily, not expecting anything meaningful. The paper was from an old calendar. On it, someone had scribbled, "New beginnings often look like endings." Tunde stared at the words. His chest tightened. He looked around. No one was there. Nothing else moved, just the faint breeze and the trembling paper in his hands. He pressed the calendar piece to his chest and closed his eyes. His heart shifted. If you have watched to this point, thank you for watching. Like, share, comment, and subscribe. The story continues in the next video.
Just slightly, like the first crack of dawn before sunrise. He whispered again, "God, now you send this one." No answer, but he felt heard. He stood from the bench, wiped his face again, and walked back to the restaurant's backyard, a small area with broken chairs and the smell of charcoal smoke. He sat on the ground, leaning against the wall, and slowly, almost unwillingly, sleep found him. It wasn't deep sleep, it wasn't peaceful sleep, but it was the first sleep in weeks that was not filled with fear. As he drifted off, the old man from earlier in the buka passed by quietly. He saw Tunde leaning against the wall, asleep, holding the crumpled calendar note in his hand. The old man nodded softly, whispered something under his breath, and walked away into the night. Morning came, soft, gentle, strange. Tunde awoke with the note still in his hand. He looked at it again. New beginnings often look like endings, and for the first time in a long time, he believed it. When he rose and stepped into the Lagos morning air, he felt something he couldn't explain. Lightness, clarity, a calm he didn't earn but was given. He breathed deeply. Then he whispered, "Maybe, just maybe, life never finished for me." He didn't know the turning point had already started, but he had an unusual strength. He walked out of the restaurant with slow, steady steps, the fresh Lagos air brushing against his face. People were already rushing to work, hawkers shouting, buses honking, the usual chaos. But for the first time, Tunde wasn't overwhelmed. He felt awake. He felt present. He felt hopeful. He stood by the curb trying to wave down a taxi when a yellow cab with peeling paint pulled over. The driver peered through the window, squinting. "Where you dey go, Oga?" the man asked. Tunde opened the back door and slipped inside. He didn't even know where to go. He only knew he needed to move somewhere. "Just drive small. I go tell you where to stop." The taxi pulled into traffic, weaving between danfos and motorcycles. For a few minutes, Tunde watched the road in silence. He had expected the feeling from the night before to fade by morning, as every good moment in his life always did. But it didn't. A strange calm sat inside him like a warm stone. The driver broke the silence. "Oga, your mind dey heavy," he said without looking back. "I feel I'm from here." Tunde blinked. "How you take no?" The driver chuckled. "Person we dey carry heavy burden, they breathe different." Tunde didn't answer. He stared out the window. If this part touched you, tap the like button so more people can hear this message. Pause 1 second. What would you do if you were in Tunde's shoes? Tell me in the comments. Share this story with someone who might need a little hope today. "You never ask me where you dey go," the driver added. Tunde exhaled. "I no even know." The driver nodded, as if he understood perfectly. "Make I tell you truth, sometimes now your legs go carry you reach where you supposed dey, no be your brain." Tunde smiled faintly. Then the driver said something that made every hair on Tunde's body rise. "You remind me of one Ogawe lose him company, lose him wife, lose him family. Them say he even lose him house. The man just enter my taxi that day like person we don't surrender everything." A chill ran through Tunde. The driver continued, slowly, like he was remembering something sacred. "That day, the man no talk at all, just a look outside window, they breathe heavy. But it gets something will happen." Tunde leaned forward. "Driver, I beg, tell me." The driver lowered his voice. "As the man enter my motor reach 3rd Mainland Bridge, he just begin cry. No be small cry, the cry where they come from inside chest. He talk say he no get reason to live again." Tunde swallowed, his throat tightening. What did you tell him?" Tunde whispered. The driver softened. I tell him the same thing I want tell you now. Oga, the world never finish for you. Sometimes the thing where you think say be ending, fit be beginning. Tunde felt something stir inside him. Pain, relief, surprise. He couldn't tell which. The driver kept talking. But now wetin the man tell me before he leave my taxi shock me pass. Tunde leaned even closer. Wetin he tell you? The driver inhaled slowly, eyes fixed on the road. He tell me say, driver, you no go understand. Everything way I try in life they fail. I dey cursed. I dey useless. I dey empty. Tunde froze. He had said those exact words, almost word for word, few nights ago. The driver nodded, slowly, noticing Tunde's reaction. Now you fit relate, Abi? Tunde's breath hitched. Without meaning to, he whispered, now the same thing I done talk for years. The driver nodded. No be coincidence, he said softly. People they think say they the only ones suffering, but suffering get plenty brothers and sisters for this world. Tunde closed his eyes. So, wetin happened to the man? He asked softly. The driver's voice grew warm. Oga, now that man get the company for Ikesa. He even dey help other businesses for startup. He marry another woman now, and he get 2 pikin. Tunde felt tears prick his eyes. And now, he whispered, where he dey today? The driver smiled. Oga, na me.
To be honest, he had forgotten he even applied there. He applied to over 200 places, maybe more. No one ever called back. Until now. Sir, the woman said gently, are you still available to come for a short interview today? Tunde's breath caught. Today? He whispered. Yes, our HR manager is around, and actually, he saw your application again this morning and specifically asked that we reach out to you. Tunde swallowed. Something was happening, something too perfectly timed to be ordinary. He forced his voice to stay steady. Yes, I'm available, he said. Please send me the address. We already did, sir, the woman replied. Kindly check your last message. Tunde lowered the phone slowly. He opened his messages. There it was, an address. And when he raised his eyes to look at the nearest gate he was standing beside, he almost dropped the phone. The address matched the number on the gate. His heart hammered. No be possible, he whispered. He took a step back, then another. He checked the address again. Same house number, number 7. Same street, Resilient Street. Same company. He was already standing in front of the building. He hadn't searched for it. He hadn't asked anyone for directions. He hadn't planned it. The taxi driver stopped him here on purpose. But why? Before he could think too deeply, the gate creaked open. A uniformed security guard poked his head out. Excuse me, he said politely. Are you Mr. Tunde? Tunde's mouth went dry. Yes, I be the one. The guard smiled warmly. Oga, we done dey wait for you. Dem say make I bring you inside. Tunde stared at him. You were waiting for me? Yes, sir, the guard nodded. HR say make we expect you this morning. You fit come in. Tunde stepped forward like a man walking in a dream. Inside the compound, the place looked nothing like the small offices he used to know. Tall glass windows, solar panels arranged neatly, a large signboard with bright green letters that read, Green Line Solar Solutions. The guard escorted him to a waiting room with soft chairs and a cool breeze floating from the air conditioner. Tunde felt out of place, but strangely calm. After a few moments, a woman in a navy blue suit walked in. You must be Mr. Tunde Adiwale, she said with a smile. Tunde stood quickly. Yes, good morning, ma. My name is Ronke. I'm the HR manager here. She studied him for a moment, then nodded as if she already knew everything about him. "I won't waste your time," she said. "We looked at your application again this morning. Your experience is limited, but your resilience is clear. And truthfully, we are looking for people who can rise, not just people who already know everything." Tunde blinked rapidly. "My resilience?" "Yes," she said. "Your cover letter was different, honest, raw. You said you were willing to start from the bottom and grow. Most people don't admit that." Tunde exhaled shakily. Ronke continued. "So here's the good news. We want to put you on a 3-month probation. If you learn fast, we will keep you. If not, no hard feelings." Tunde's mouth fell open. He tried to speak. Nothing came out. She smiled kindly. "Don't thank me. Just prove yourself." Tunde nodded fiercely. "I will, Ma. I will try. I will not disappoint." "Good," she said. "Your life is about to change, Mr. Tunde." He felt those words deeply. "Thank you," he whispered. After signing a few documents, they gave him a start date, Monday morning, just 3 days away. When he stepped out of the building again, sunlight washed over him like a blessing. He stood still, breathing the fresh air, his chest expanding with a warmth he hadn't felt in a very long time. Then his eyes drifted down the road. A yellow taxi passed by. It wasn't the same one, but Tunde still felt a sudden wave of gratitude. He whispered into the wind, hoping somehow it would reach the driver. "Thank you, whoever you be, wherever you day, thank you." He didn't know if the taxi driver was just a man with experience or an angel in disguise. But either way, that taxi ride had not been ordinary, and now he understood why the driver said, "Dis na your turning point, no let 'em pass." Tunde smiled softly. He had not let it pass, and for the first time in many years, he felt like life had opened a door for him again, a door he never expected, a door he was finally ready to walk through. On his way back, something tugged at him, a quiet voice telling him his journey wasn't finished. He found himself on another street, one he did know, a street he had avoided for years. He entered a community center, drawn by a sign that read, "Help for New Beginnings." Inside, he joined a circle of people learning to rebuild their lives. At the end, the facilitator led him to a small office. He opened the door and froze. "Amaka?" She looked exactly the same, yet completely different, more grounded, more peaceful, more complete. "Tunde?" she whispered, standing slowly. His chest tightened with old memories, love, pain, disappointment. But this time, he didn't feel shame. He felt ready. Amaka offered him a seat, then ordered her secretary to serve him water and juice. "I heard about what happened to you," she said softly. "I prayed for you, many times." Tunde swallowed. "I wasn't ready then, for you, for myself, for anything." Amaka smiled sadly. "I know. And I wasn't ready to carry someone else's heart when my own wasn't steady." They sat. There was no tension, no anger, only truth. Tunde shared a brief of the past few years, the new job, and how he got there. "Tunde," she said, looking into his eyes, "you didn't lose me because you failed. You lost me because you stopped believing you could rise again. I couldn't hold you up. You didn't believe in yourself enough to stand." Her words were gentle, healing, like balm on a long wound. Tunde felt something settle inside him. For years he believed she was part of his failures. Now he realized something. She was part of his lesson, a mirror showing him who he used to be and who he never wanted to be again. Amaka touched his hand briefly. "I'm proud of who you're becoming," she whispered, "not because you got a job, but because you're finally choosing yourself."
Tunde's eyes filled. "Thank you," he said, "for seeing me even when I couldn't see myself." They didn't hug. They didn't rekindle romance. They didn't need to. That moment was not about returning to the past. It was about releasing it. Over the next few days, Tunde walked differently. He entered his new job with confidence. He learned quickly. He volunteered for tasks. He apologized when necessary. He asked for help without shame. And each night, when he remembered Amaka's words, "You're finally choosing yourself," he smiled. They didn't become lovers again. They didn't make big promises, but they became something better. Two souls who had learned to forgive the past and bless each other's future. Months later, Tunde stood outside the same community center, now as a volunteer mentor. A young man approached him, head bowed. "Sir, I feel like my life done finish." Tunde smiled gently, the same smile the taxi driver once gave him. "My brother, sometimes the thing way you think say be ending, fit be beginning." He placed a hand on the young man's shoulder. "Come, sit, talk. You never fall finish. You just a start." As they walked inside, Tunde whispered in his heart, "This na my own turning point. I no let 'em pass." He had become the man he once needed. Not perfect, not rich, not famous, but whole.